Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Ben, this is Books with Bengus Khan, and today I have for you my July reading wrap-up. I'm a couple weeks late, and man, that'll teach me to procrastinate. I had a chance to film this right on July 1st. I was like, oh, I'll do it later. And then, since then, I've just been running around, so busy with work. I hit my head and had a big kind of scar going for a while, and now I have maybe a Harry Potter-like scar. We'll see if that goes away, but then I had a friend visiting for a few days, and we filmed the blindfold book cover challenge, since my wife doesn't want to come on camera, but he was willing to do it, and I had a blast with that, so I just got to get that edited, and I'll have that out to you soon. But, man, I got to get to my July reads, because it was another great month of reading in the life, and it started with a couple of rereads of favorite books of mine, because Philip Chase and Josh at Red for Your Books were reading Deadbeat for the first time, and I was going to go over on Philip's channel and have a chat, which we've done. You can go over there, I'll link it, and you could check out our first non-spoiler chat and then getting into spoilers. This is my third time reading this one, and it was fun to just kind of plop down into the middle of Dresden instead of just going through all the series like I've done in the past. And man, this book is a delight. Just the way we get this new side character introduced who it goes on such an interesting journey with Harry, because he's this vanilla mortal who's pretty scared of what he's getting involved with, and Harry has to really support him and build him up. And so, being with Butters here was a delight. There are some awesome action set pieces, a plot twist that if you know it, it's so fun to read this book with that knowledge and be able to see how Butcher pulled it off so wonderfully. And yeah, just a wonderful mid-series Dresden book that I think really steps it up for a lot of people. And I know for Josh and Philip, I think this became their new favorite book of the series and got them super invested. And I can't wait to see their journeys from here on out. All right, next, kind of an unplanned reread, was The Magicians by Lev Grossman. So this is book one of his Magicians trilogy. And I had read this just early on in my return to fantasy as an adult, maybe about 5 years ago. And I was coming back to it because I had given this book to Zamar to read, and I chose a few books for him, and he was getting into it. I was like, oh, I want to be able to chat with him about it, but I haven't read it in years. So I dove back in, and man, it was so good. Just Grossman blew me away a second time with how deeply invested I became from the very first few pages onward. And if you can identify with the primary POV here, Quentin Coldwater, and man, this could be a really special, deeply personal experience. Just this portal fantasy that is deeply psychological and deals with some heavy existential themes, and that's not going to be for everyone, but it just is so unpredictable and very emotionally complex and nuanced, and speaks to me on a very deep level. So this was a fantastic reread for me. Confirmed my easy 5 stars for it, and I put this on my top books of all time list somewhat recently, and so I was happy to see that it deserves its place, and I'll probably bump it up a few places from where it was too, because this just covers so much ground for a book one. Just spectacular in how it kind of moves time along but does not feel disjointed, and is able to tell this huge sweeping story that's really satisfying on its own, and you don't even need to go on to the next few books. It really could work as a standalone. Just ends so perfectly, and goes to some dark places, and just so just weird and quirky and unpredictable, and some memorable sequences that really stuck with me since 5 years ago. And I was almost surprised how much I had remembered from this book, because there's so many sequences from the beginning, middle, and through the end that really, really are impactful and made a mark in my memory. And so this is one of the more unforgettable books of my life. So if you have not tried this yet, highly recommend giving it a go, especially in the audiobook format, where Mark Bramhall is just a master narrator with the voicings and narration, but emotional nuances is his specialty. Just really brings this to life in a really great way. Alright, then I continued my journey in the Alex Verus series with Bound and Marked. So these are books 8 and 9 out of 12 in this urban fantasy series, set in and around London. And these were two really great kind of mid-series books that just keep on raising the stakes, and it's not feeling like the series is peaking too early. It's just slowly building and building the tension and there are really cool things that are happening in each of these books, but just solid transitional books that are taking us toward a very explosive ending, just building my investment in this main character, Alex Varys, and his friends who are threatened in various ways and just trying to make their way through these very tough situations. And I just have maximal investment right now, which is where I want to be with 3 books to go. And I will probably be continuing that pretty soon because can't wait to see what's going to happen. All right, then, as one of the last books in the TBR competition between Kyle and Jake, which has finished up, I went live with Kyle and Jake a few days ago. You could catch it in the live section where I revealed the results of the competition, but it was very close. I enjoyed all of the books, and this one was a Kyle pick by Guy Gavriel Kay. This is The Lions of Al-Rassan. So this is one of his earlier books, the one he wrote after A Song for a Bone, which I read earlier this year and became my new favorite book of all time. And so this had a lot to live up to, and it totally did. Just a wonderful next book for me with Guy Gavriel Kay. I found it so engaging on basically all fronts. The plot front, and it kept moving, and it was this political military plot set in kind of medieval Spain that I knew a little bit about kind of what it was based on, which maybe helped me just sink into the story really easily. But really love the window we get onto these events through all of the POV characters. Just so many likable, engaging POVs in here that we're rotating through. Whether it's like the female physician character or one of the warrior politicians, some of the other side characters get POVs. I was so invested in basically everyone, and I love what he did with the setting work here, just like he did in Song for a Bone, but there was this slight change in, I think, where the tension and conflict came from that was very refreshing, since it's so rare, in that much of the tension didn't come from this larger-than-life, exaggerated human antagonist villain. There really wasn't one antagonist in here. There maybe were, a few little minor ones here and there, but mostly it's the tension comes from the overall kind of situation everyone finds themselves in, this larger political sweep of history that people are caught up in, and just they almost cannot individually do much to kind of stop that tidal wave of history just crashing down upon everyone. And it's just a matter of how everyone is dealing with that, and kind of the friendships and loves and the honor that the people can live with within this situation, as kind of civilizations are clashing here in kind of this time in Spain where the Muslim Spain kind of was collapsing and Christian Spain was trying to reconquer. And I found the way Kay dealt with this to be just utterly poignant. And I could read historical books or summaries of these events, and it's just so dry. But to see it play out through individual people's eyes is what brings the impact, and what Kay does so magnificently. And so a wonderful 5-star Guy Gavriel Kay read. It didn't hit me in the feels the way that A Song for Our Bone did. And maybe I've heard a lot of people with Kay, the first book they read of his is really special to them. And that might be the case for me, where Song for Our Bone just had that advantage of going first. And that style that Kay has of being so elegant and so lyrical and impactful, but while still saying things in simple ways, just letting me view things a little bit differently and hearing them spoken and articulated in ways I've never heard before. That maybe hit hardest the first time I was exposed to it with his particular prose style, but I am loving spending time with his writing in all different settings, and I've already gone on and read Brighten As Long Ago, my 3rd Kay read, so he's become a new favorite author for sure, and I think it's a solid starting point for people if they want to try out Guy Gavriel Kay. It's a just pretty fast-paced novel with a lot of plot intrigue to carry you through, and just wonderful in basically every way. So yeah, highly recommend Lions of Al-Rassan. Then the last book was another Kyle pick. That was The Last Kingdom by Bernard Cornwell, the first book in the Saxon Tales series, which I think is, I don't know how long this is, 12 books? Maybe. But is a long series and is one of the big Cornwell series that I still have yet to read. I've read all of his Sharp series, the Warlord Chronicles trilogy, the Stonehenge standalone. So I've read a lot of his books that have been set in kind of older Britain, and this one's a few hundred years after the Warlord Chronicles, and I found it kind of felt like a sequel series to that, a continuation. It maybe is not written in the exact same style, and it's also has this first person retrospective thing going, with the narrator being Uhtred, son of Uhtred, kind of narrating from a later point in life, but it's not as much of a deal as made of the framing device as it was in Warlord Chronicles with Durful. But we are experiencing the invasion of the Danish Vikings of Britain and the Saxon resistance to that. I'm also listening to a lot of it by audio with Jonathan Keeble's narration. He did Warlord Chronicles, so that also is kind of throwing me off, where it's like not exactly the same feel as Warlord Chronicles, but same place, same narrator. So that's been a little odd for me. But overall, I've really liked this start to this series. I gave this one solid 4 stars, which is often where I kind of land with book ones that I like. I just haven't spent that much time yet with the characters and the plot to really get that invested yet, but I am already deeply into book 2 and feeling myself becoming more and more gripped to the overall story. And so I think this bodes well for me really loving this series. And I thought a book 1 that really moves along pretty quickly. It establishes the characters and the conflicts very efficiently with Cornwell's trademark lively characterizations and dialogue and just his gritty battle writing and action scenes. Like, it's all here, and the things I've loved in all of the Cornwell books I've read. And so I think this series has a chance to become something pretty special for me. So thank you, Kyle, for getting me to pick up that series, which I don't know when I was eventually going to get to that. So now I'm pretty into it. So as I mentioned with what I'm reading now, I am most of the way through The Pale Horseman. I might be able to finish that today. And then with what I might read the rest of the month, I'll let my moods take me where they may. But I just got a gift from my buddy Colin at Colin's Corner, who sent me Murder at Spindle Manor, the book that just won the last Spiff Book competition. Heard great things about that, so might fit that one in. I'm in A.R. Witham's Keymark Readathon right now, and so I want to read a bunch of shorter books so I can max out my points. So that one might be a good one, and not sure what else I'll read this month, but hopefully I'll come to you on time in just a couple weeks with that next reading wrap-up. And then, my book of the month, that's going to be a tough one if I leave rereads as possibilities, since Deadbeat was a great read, and then the other 5-star reads of this month were, I think, Lines of Al-Rassan and The Magicians. I think I gave the two Alex Verus books 4.5 stars. But for a book of the month, man, The Magicians was a great reread. Lines of Al-Rassan. Okay, I gotta give it to The Magicians. This, since a lot of it felt fresh since it was 5 years since I read it, I'm gonna count this as eligible for book of the month, and this one just blew me away all over again a second time, and just really speaks to me on a very personal level. And this hit emotionally a few different times, just really, really hard. So that is my book of the month, Magicians by Lev Grossman. Another wonderful reading month. Could have easily been Lines of Al-Rassan. I kind of feel bad I didn't give it to a new read. But those were my reads for the month. Let me know what you've been reading last couple weeks or last month. Look out for the fun blindfold book cover challenge vid coming soon, and I'll catch you later.